If people hadn't decided to commemorate Stonewall with a political march, no one would remember Stonewall. Today, we might think of Pride just for its parades, concerts, and parties, but it's important to remember what exactly we're celebrating. Today's Prides look a lot different than the first marches in Chicago, Los Angeles, and New York City held in June 1970 to commemorate the one-year anniversary of the Stonewall riots. In 1969, after decades of work by brave queer people around the US and the world, queer activists were ready and waiting for something, an event, a person, an issue, to galvanize the community on a vast scale. No one could have predicted that a group of street queens at a dingy bar in Greenwich Village would provide the LGBTQ+ community with its first collective battle cry. But that's exactly what happened. And many groups wanted to use the energy from the riots to keep the momentum going. In July 1969, New York's Gay Liberation Front held a gay power march in Greenwich Village. In November of 1969, Craig Rodwell proposed changing Annual Reminder Day, an annual demonstration for LGBT rights, into Christopher Street Liberation Day, an annual commemoration of the Stonewall riots, to be held each June with hopes of it being celebrated worldwide. But no one really knew whether or not the commemoration plan 7 months from then would work, not until the day arrived. As Matthew Riemer and Leighton Brown write in their new book, We Are Everywhere, Craig Rodwell got to Sheridan Square early on June 28, 1970, not knowing what to expect with just hours before the first Christopher Street Liberation Day march. Of the ambitious Gay Pride Week events planned by Brenda Howard and the Christopher Street Liberation Day Committee, only Friday's dance at NYU's Weinstein Hall was well attended. With the march set to start at 2 p.m., it seemed as if the committee hadn't been able to turn out even 1,000 people. There weren't many at first, but they came, drifting out, massing out at the last moment as if they were watching to see if the others were going to show. At 2:10, the NYPD, there to protect the queers, insisted they get going. And so it began. Following the lead banner, Christopher Street Gay Liberation Day 1970, representatives from various groups, cities, schools, and all different walks of life stepped off the sidewalk and into the street. The courage that it took for some people to make the first steps from Sheridan Square into 6th Avenue and out of the village was the summoning of a whole lifetime's desire to finally come clear. At first, nerves propelled the crowd forward at a near jog. Some later referred to the march as the first run. But one writer said, "We got more militant as we marched along. Today, we owned the streets. We felt liberated and free." Moving uptown, it seemed every marcher saw a queer person they knew in the crowd on the sidewalks, not quite ready to take the step. "Come on out or I'll point you out," someone yelled, and they did. Tearing off the masks of anonymity, giving up the relative safety of the sidewalk, hundreds of people took the first step in our liberation. And as more and more people joined, the pace slowed, the spirit lightened, and a sense of liberation connected thousands. In that march up 6th Avenue, Frank Kameny said, "I was moved to a feeling of pride, exhilaration, and accomplishment. A feeling that this crowd of 5,000 was a direct lineal descendant of our 10 frightened people in front of the White House 5 years ago." By the time they reached Central Park, the lines of queer people stretched back 20 blocks, though few had any sense of just how big the crowd had gotten. Entering the park's Sheep Meadow area, marchers came to a rocky rise on the western end, turning around to look down on the thousands of their known and unknown friends. None of them, no one, had ever seen anything like it. People hugged, many cried, and spontaneous bursts of applause broke out. Thousands of queer people were celebrating themselves and each other. It was Gay Pride. There was no program that afternoon, no agenda, no speakers, just a large group of gays dancing, chanting, kissing, relaxing, and occupying Central Park. It was a family reunion, and the tattered carpeting of the park became a living room in which we all, under the beneficent sun, lived, touched, smiled, and not tolerated, but welcomed one another's differences not as a lessening of our own particular selves, but as endless compliments to that spark of self which is the sum of one soul. The day ended, but the work had just begun. So when y'all celebrate Pride this year, try to remember the passionate revolutionaries who fought not to cement their place in history, but for their right to welcome and rejoice the infinite spectrum of identities that exist within the queer community. These annual Pride parties exist because the people that came before us demanded something right and something better. And we owe it to those in our past who blazed the trail and to those in the future who will continue the work to keep demanding, keep pushing, keep partying, keep calling out bigotry and hypocrisy wherever we see it, even if it's on platforms that we love, like YouTube. And most importantly, we have to keep being proud. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this video. Obviously, this video is a little bit different from things that I've done in the past, but I wanted to say thank you to the people that helped make it happen. Thank you so much to Victoria Barranco, who helped animate this entire video. She is an incredible queer artist. I'm gonna put all of her stuff in the description below. And of course, this video would not be possible without my friends Matthew and Leighton. If you don't know who they are, they run the Instagram LGBT History on Instagram. I love it. I learned so much from it. It is something that I love in my feed. If you're not following, go follow. I'm gonna put the link in the description. And plus, they just came out with a brand new book. It's called We Are Everywhere. If you haven't gotten a copy, it is an incredible book filled to the brim with all of our queer history, with pictures, firsthand accounts, everything you might ever want to know about being queer and where we come from. And plus, if you like this video, I used a huge excerpt about the very first Pride Parade from this book. So if you liked what I said, it's because you like this book. If you want to get a copy, I'm going to put the link in the description. Go get one today. They're incredible queer historians that gave us the history book we deserve. Okay, so that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you had an amazing Pride Month, and I would love to know, what are you proud of? What makes you, you, and special? Because you are. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I will see you guys next week, so be sure to subscribe. That's all. Have a good life. Later.